Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Happy Thursday. So let's start off today with a little bit of comedy. Kristen shared this video on Twitter. Here we have it. I don't know, I thought it was pretty funny. Moving on, Gary Black said, met with Tesla management yesterday. Austin and Berlin are likely to open with limited production before the year's end. So guys, that's only roughly 3 weeks away. So we'll see if we can get some vehicles produced from either of these new plants. Also said Austin and Berlin year one volumes and gross margin percentages should be similar to Shanghai in year one. We have confidence full year 2022 deliveries will be around 1.5 million. The street expectations right now is 1.27 million, battery capacity permitting. He continues, Cybertruck on track for late 2022 start of production and deliveries, and capacity expansion required will be via Shanghai, Austin, and Berlin expansions first, plus new locations. Tesla's internal relations is meeting with buy-side investment teams via virtual one-on-ones at the Deutsche Bank Auto Conference today. And the buy side of Wall Street, just think insurance, hedge funds, mutual funds. It's the organizations, companies that buy securities either for themselves or for a pool of investors to generate a return for. Here we have some news about the US looking to end purchases of gas-powered vehicles by 2035. Now, we've heard of this before, but it looks like yesterday on Wednesday, Biden actually signed an executive order. So the government owns more than 650,000 vehicles and purchases 50,000 every year. And per this order, it says that the light-duty vehicles acquired by the government will be emission-free by 2027. Which is good, but you'd still wish it was a little bit sooner than that. Only 0.5% of the government's vehicle fleet were electric as of 2020, and in 2020, the government spent $4.2 billion on vehicle costs, including $730 million for fuel. And the director of Safe Climate Transport, Dan Becker, said, waiting 14 years to do it is an awfully long time when we have some electric vehicles already and companies are trying to decide now whether to make just promises or actually make EVs, and I couldn't agree anymore with Dan. I wanted to bring this up today as it's been talked about a lot. There have been some media reporting taking shots at Tesla specifically due to the ability to play some games while in motion. So Tesla has this screen, use of Tesla Arcade while the vehicle is in motion is only for passengers. Please check local laws prior to playing, and then you can click I am a passenger. Now, I believe there's no weight seated rule for this in the passenger seat. I'm pretty sure the driver can actually just say I'm a passenger and get away with it and bypass that, but please correct me if I am wrong on that. But I was curious to hear from some of you guys, how many games are you actually able to play with this feature while the car is moving? There's plenty of mixed reviews online. Some people say it's 1 or 2 games. Other people say that newer Tesla vehicles like the Vision-only Model Ys, you can play all of the new games. So there's plenty of conflicting views out there, but I'd be curious to hear your views on this. Should Tesla allow passengers to play games while the vehicle is in motion at this stage? A quick one here, but Missy Cummings will no longer serve as an expert witness in a lawsuit. That one goes back to the Model 3 driver who passed away when he crashed into a semi-truck back in 2019. Missy will be replaced by Ella Atkins, an expert in autonomous aerospace systems. Cummings was expected to testify about the role that the driver assist technology might have played in the tragic incident. There was some chatter today about a Tesla patent that had to do with permanent magnet motors, specifically the carbon-wrapped motor that we had talked about a while back that Tesla was implementing in the Model S Plaid. If you were one of the people looking for the actual patent, here you go. I will go ahead and link it below. We don't need to get into the details as it is beyond my pay grade for the most part, but it's down there for those interested. Here we have that slow heartbeat of the Tesla Energy division slowly putting the building blocks in place. GenX Power will use the Autobidder platform for the Bouldercombe battery project in Queensland, Australia. So this is a moderate sized project to start that will hopefully expand in the future. This project will use 40 Tesla Megapacks, and as you can see, Tesla will provide a minimum level of contracted revenues to support project financing for the development of this project. This agreement delivers the ability to capture revenue beyond a fixed guaranteed amount to ensure that GenX participates in the revenue upside from significant pricing events. This deal between GenX and Tesla will conclude after 8 years, and after this, GenX will enter into a licensing agreement with Tesla to operate AutoBidder on this project. And I'm really rooting for Tesla to get that Megapack facility up and running as fast as possible so we can start working our way up the S-curve for Tesla's energy division. Now, don't get mad at me for this one. I am going to share a short 2-minute clip of Gordon Johnson, but only because even Elon thought it was funny. I did too, so let's have a listen.
Hey, Gordon, are you bullish on the global EV market in general? And do you have any way to play that's not short? And let's say there's something you like. You could do a spread. You could short right. Tesla because you hate it so much. Is there any other half of that? Yeah. Is there another half of that spread? What would you buy? What would you go long if you short Tesla?
Joe, that's a great question. I don't hate Tesla. I just think Tesla's grossly overvalued, and I think it's grossly misrepresented. I think BYD is a great company. I think they're doing great things. They make their own batteries. I think that's one that you could be positive on. But, Joe, let's take a step back. Keep in mind, battery electric cars were only 2.6% of global auto sales. Year to date, battery electric cars are trending at about 5% of global auto sales. So when you ask Ford, who's been doing this for 100 years, GM, who's been doing this for 100 years, VW, to completely change their entire company to go after a 5% market share, it's not that advantageous. If you took a step back and you look at the amount of cars Tesla sells, right, not the market cap, the 800 or the roughly 900,000 cars they're going to sell this year versus VW selling 11 million. Like, these guys aren't worried about BEVs. So I think there's other technologies that are very promising, fuel cell and hydrogen. But to your question, I think BYD is a great company. Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of our time, likes it too. I think that's one you can look at positively. And with respect to next year, I think Tesla has big problems. Gross margins, their CFO said their gross margins are going to come down. Why? They're ramping 2 new fabs in Texas and Germany. And the Chinese fab effectively had no cost because they're all back and loaded. When they ramp these new fabs, their gross margins are going to come down. So with no new cars coming next year from Tesla, I think not only do you have a gross margin risk, but you have a volume risk. So I think the spread would be to be negative on the guys like Tesla and to be positive on the guys like BYD.
And at this point, I use Gordon Johnson's comments as a way to keep things lighthearted and fun, and use it as a reminder to not take things too seriously. Another question for you guys, but Elon said, unless susceptible to extreme natural disasters, nuclear power plants should not be shut down. Now, admittedly, I have not done enough research to have a strong opinion on nuclear power plants, but I'm sure some of you have, so please let me know how you feel. Do you agree with Elon on this? Here we get a note from the rumor mill, this from Chris Zhang on Twitter. A source close to Idra, the supplier of GigaPress, stated Tesla will die cast all 4 doors of the vehicle in the next step instead of the traditional stamping process. The efficiency of die casting is higher than that of stamping. Now, to be fair, I think there are some good arguments against this actually happening, as the stamping process traditionally might be a little bit faster and produce a better finish, which of course would be important for something like a door. However, I figured I would at least share it, but proceed with huge caution here, and I'm not at all saying I think this is the way forward, just something to watch in the coming weeks. Here we have Tesla doubling down to prevent icing at superchargers when non-Tesla vehicles sit or park at superchargers and prevent actual Tesla owners from charging their vehicles. So historically, Tesla has been using these little gates almost in certain locations, and you have to put it down essentially using a QR code, but they're now making this process easier and actually using this at more supercharger locations starting in China. So maybe we'll start to see this here in the US. I'd be very curious to see if that happens. The problem here was that it complicated the easy supercharging experience, and Tesla owners had to use a third-party app to get this lock to go down. But now these devices are being implemented at every new charging station that Tesla deployed in China. And then here we have images of different supercharging locations in China with these locks in place. And here's what they look like when they're flat. Last month, Tesla released a new update to its mobile app, and there were some media assets related to the floor locks. Last month, Tesla released a new app update, and there were some new media assets related to these floor locks. And here we have a quick video on how this will work through the app. So no more third-party app, and will we see this in the United States? I would say there's at least a decent chance, and once again, let me know, what do you guys think? Good idea or bad? Somebody in the comments actually mentioned that they should just install a webcam and link it to a local towing company, so if they see a non-Tesla or someone else using a supercharger stall to park or something else, they will just come and tow the car. Now, I'm not sure what the economics of that would look like for the towing company, but I do think it would be an easier and a cheaper solution, but we'll see how it plays out. And today, Doug DeMuro released his review on the Lucid Air. It is 39 minutes long, but I will link it below for you if you would like to check it out. Here we have a note from Automotive News Europe about Mercedes, as Mercedes won regulatory approval to deploy a hands-free driving system in Germany. However, this will only be on certain stretches of road and only up to 37 miles per hour. For now, Mercedes only has this permission in Germany, but they say as soon as legislation in China and the US is in place, Mercedes will offer this system in those markets as well. This feature called Drive Pilot will be an option for the S-Class and the EQS models from around the middle of next year. There's no indication on how much this system will cost, but the approval is to be used on around 13,000 kilometers or roughly 8,000 miles of highway network in Germany. Here we have Lucid stock crashing back down to earth today, down 16% on the day, trading at $37 per share for a market cap around $60 billion. Now, yes, today is a red day across the board with the NASDAQ down at the moment over 1%, Tesla down as well. But part of this move from Lucid is because they propose to offer $1.7 billion in a convertible note offering. These notes would be due in 2026, and they are going to be sold in a private offering to institutional buyers. Lucid expects to grant the initial purchasers an option on an additional $262.5 million of notes. So why is Lucid doing this? Well, they say they intend to use the proceeds from the offering to finance or refinance in whole or in part one or more new or existing eligible green investments. That's a pretty wishy-washy back and forth statement if you ask me, but they continue. The development, manufacture, or distribution of products, key components, and machinery related to electric vehicles or energy storage systems, as well as investments and expenditures related to renewable energy, energy efficiency, and sustainable water and waste management. These comments are interesting to me because it's just so broad. They're basically covering like the entire green space without really saying, hey, like we have this specific project that we're working on and this is why we're doing this. So I don't personally love that, but I wouldn't say it's a problem either. It is what it is. And in case you missed it, Lucid has chosen Bank of America for its financing partner. Basically, when you go to buy a Lucid, now you'll have another option for financing through Bank of America, who will partner with Lucid and maybe offer some discounts and special perks, just like most other auto companies do with their banking partners. So why did Lucid choose Bank of America? Well, at least one reason they said was the bank already has promised to funnel $1 trillion towards solutions that will curb greenhouse gas emissions and work to make it more sustainable as a whole. So that's a pretty big promise. Let's see if they back it up. A quick note on the Chevy Silverado EV pickup truck set to go into production early 2023. As we've talked about, this is a very important vehicle for GM, set to make its public debut in a few weeks here at the 2022 Consumer Electronics Show, or CES, in Las Vegas. and it's set to go on sale later in 2023. This vehicle is expected to be built at Factory Zero in Detroit here in the States. We get some more comments from Jim Farley and Ford's newest issue. Jim said, "We'll get the semiconductors, that's just a matter of prioritizing the battery electric vehicles over the internal combustion engine vehicles." He continued, "The issue is batteries. That's what we have to solve." Jim said, "We are completely oversubscribed with our battery electric vehicles," referring to the F-150 Lightning hitting 200,000 reservations, and they shut off the reservation system. And Ford is currently doing whatever it takes to double the production capacity for the F-150 pickup. Now, at least in the short term, I think this F-150 Lightning is a very important vehicle to get that segment of the market into an electric truck and to get it on the roads in a way that people are enjoying it and talking about it in a positive light. That'll be a huge deal for wider EV adoption and having it be a vehicle that's not just Tesla, because there are plenty of people that don't like Tesla and we need to give them something else that they can get excited about. And I really do think the F-150 Lightning has a chance to be this vehicle. Not at all taking away from what the Cybertruck's gonna do. That's gonna do incredibly well on its own no matter what this F-150 Lightning does, but I really hope this goes well for Ford. But that's all for today. Please take a second to like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.